All right, today it's about the carbon tax cutoffs. C-234 is in the Senate getting voted on for the third reading, and then Pierre Poilievre is demanding in his early morning motion about C-234, which is cutting carbon tax off. Check this out. This is all about the CACN, Canadian-China's relations.
The agricultural office that is supposed to be set up in the Indo-Pacific as part of the Indo-Pacific strategy, $31.8 million to establish Canada's first agricultural office in the region. Tell me what the status of that is, how much money has been spent, what's the money been spent on, and what's the rollout of the remainder of those expenditures?
So the objective of the Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada office in the region was to put a physical presence for Canada to promote, to facilitate, to expand our trade in the same time zone as our client countries in the region. On terms of the operational issues and the budgetary issues, I would have to defer to Mr. Ephraim Strohan, but certainly the objective of having that office is something that was very, very well received by our agriculture, agri-food, seafood producers all across Canada.
Yep, the operational stuff was what I want to know about. So
thank you for the question, Mr. Chair. The new AFC office will be announced very soon. It will be operational in the Philippines. Hiring has begun. So in terms of the actual dollars, I'm not sure we have that. We'll look during this session, but we're very close to seeing boots on the ground and an open door.
Position Canada to be a reliable supplier of clean energy in the region. What is the definition of clean energy? Because I have not been able to find that anywhere in the document or on the Government of Canada's websites. So if somebody could educate me on that, I would appreciate it. What is included in clean energy in the document? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Mr. Chong. And I think there is a significant focus in the strategy for Canada's clean tech companies to be able to scale up, to be able to do their first commercial demonstrations in key markets in the Indo-Pacific region. Canada, as you're probably aware, has, I think it's 15 of the top 100 clean tech companies in the globe. And one of the challenges that they've expressed to the government, I think, over many years is for them to be able to scale up and prove their sort of proof of concept in new complex markets in the Indo-Pacific, they need a leg up by the Government of Canada. And I think the strategy will allow companies that do water remediation, companies that do renewables, companies that do solar, companies that do wind. And in fact, the LNG Canada project, which upon its completion, which is very, very soon, will deliver to the Indo-Pacific region the cleanest and lowest emission LNG on the planet, and it will allow many of our partner countries in the Indo-Pacific wean off coal much more quickly.
Thank you, Ambassador, for that answer. So that's a good segue into my next question. As you mentioned, Canada's first large-scale LNG terminal is coming online in Kitimat, British Columbia, sometime around 2025. Just last week, the Japanese Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry urged LNG buyers in Japan to secure more long-term LNG contracts for Japan's energy security, but also to ensure that Japan reduces its reliance on Russian LNG. Can you tell us if you've had any discussions or if the government has had any discussions with the Japanese government on Canadian LNG exports? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just last month at the APEC summit, the U.S. and the PRC agreed to resume military-to-military communication. My question is, what is the nature and extent of Canada's military-to-military communication with the PLA, if any?
Mr. Chair, I'll take that one, please. Relatively limited. We have a PRC defense attaché here in Ottawa, Senior Colonel Liu. I speak to him regularly, sometimes via demarches. And equally within Beijing, we have our military connection there as well. But that's about how extensive it is right now.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that answer. As you know, there are two resupply ships being constructed. Canada currently has one. Can you tell us that ship? I understand that supply ship was sent with the HMCS Ottawa and Vancouver, I believe, earlier this year. So a couple questions. First, how is a single resupply ship limiting our ability to project force, not just in the Pacific region, but in our Atlantic region? And secondly, can you tell us about any planning for 2024 operations concerning frigates and the resupply ship Asterix in the Pacific region?
So, Mr. Chair, thank you very much for the question. So at this time, the Asterix is operating in the Indo-Pacific region, has done quite well over the last few months in that space. In fact, they've just come off of Annual X, which is a large exercise including a number of our regional partners and allies, where it has worked not just with Canadian vessels, but also with multinational partners. It's a hugely valuable asset and resource to have in the region. Certainly not just as a measure for refueling and
Pardon me. Quick question. Who's handling resupply for our Pacific fleet right now?
So are you referring to the Canadian Pacific Fleet?
Yes.
Yes. So at this time,
For Canada's Atlantic fleet. Like, who's handling resupply for Canada's Atlantic fleet?
So
if the Asterix is in the Indo-Pacific.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for the question. So at this time, the way we manage the travel of these vessels is dependent upon how we can resupply them. So what we will do is we'll naturally use ports of call to refuel vessels if they don't have a mothership to go to. Does that answer your question,
Yeah.
sir?